Welcome to Hatha Flow. If you have any props nearby, you can gather them, whether they're traditional yoga props or just homemade ones, cushions or pillows or straps or towels. And I will meet you on the mat. We will start seated today. So take a comfortable seat. Whether for you that means sitting on your knees with a block or something to catch your sit bones underneath, or maybe it's cross-legged. It's always nice to have the hips elevated above the knees, so with a cushion or folded blanket or something perched on that edge so that the pelvis can come to a neutral position and the spine feels at its longest. Once you get to your seated position, roll the shoulders back a few times and sit tall. You can close your eyes or soften them and welcome yourself to the room. Welcome yourself to your yoga mat, to your body, to your breath. Here we welcome ourselves to our practice. As we get to the breath, we start to notice how it feels in the body, how it feels as it's entering and leaving the nostrils, how it feels as it makes its way down through the airways, filling up the lungs, expanding the ribs, inflating the abdomen, and then everything recoiling back to its original position. Set the intention to meet yourself on the mat today. To move within your range of motion, to listen to the messages of your body. To breathe through challenging points, but to hang back if it gets too much dizziness, lightheadedness, or any kind of pinching, sharp shooting pains, compression. This is your practice. This week, I've been thinking about being human and the pendulum that swings not only from day to day and from week to week, but from moment to moment. How our mind works, how our emotions work. We have a thought, we check the thought, we analyze, we make an action, and then we check in again. It all seems very relentless and futile, and yet it is what makes up our life here. We are never here without the mind going. moving through our days, feeling through our days, thinking through our days. We mimic life on the mat as we affect a shape, we adjust it, we readjust, we settle in. But then over time, we start to see growth. We start to see change, even when it's subtle. So let's watch that on our mat today. Appreciate where you are in your practice. Notice where the restrictions are and celebrate the growth, even when it's subtle. Slowly open the eyes, and with the hands on the thighs, we're going to tune into the breath, inhaling, starting to draw our hearts forward, exhaling, curling back. Just getting some movement through the spine, through the torso, through the hips, the shoulders, the neck. Syncing the breath with the movement. And just getting embodied back into the body. Slowly come to neutral again. Bring the arms out in cactus arms. And then as we exhale, we're going to draw those elbows together. They may not come together completely. As we inhale, we're going to open, expand, waking up the shoulders and the neck a little bit further, exposing that heart center and stretching out the back of the wings behind the back. Beautiful. We're going to do one more of these. And then release the hands down on the thighs again, this time from the ribs down to the pelvis. We're going to try to wake that up. So almost like complete circles, except we're just going to try to isolate those hips and that waist. Starting in a clockwise direction, we inhale and draw the ribs forward, and then we circle them back on the exhale, drawing that abdomen in. So really imagine a big stirring spoon at the middle of the body, of the torso, and you're stirring something up in your pelvis. And just noticing where you feel that, what feels a little stickier. And then one more time in this direction. And then we'll change directions. Going at your pace, maybe going slower through those sticky areas, sending breath. Nice. Let's do one more in this direction. And back to center. Great. I think we're a little more awake through the torso. Let's come off our feet and come over onto our hands and knees. We're going to do 4 times cat and cow, inhaling, looking up, opening that front body. Now you can feel a little more access through the hips. So really emphasize that. Exhale, curl forward, tip that pelvis backwards. 3 more of those on your own breath. Beautiful. And then after this last time, come back to neutral. In neutral here, you're going to explore your pelvis a little bit here. So keeping everything else fairly stable, isolate just around the hips and the pelvis and the lower abdomen, and then tilt the pelvis forward, drawing those sit bones up towards the sky. And then exhale, draw it in, and you'll use a lot of abdominal strength doing that. And just very subtly try to isolate just the pelvis here. Inhaling, tipping forward, exhaling back. You may start to feel, again, some sticky places here. One side may be different from the other. And do one more. And then back to neutral. And now let's do some big circles. So we're treating this as not only an awakening of all the parts of our body, but as an exploration. Checking, rechecking, noticing, adjusting. And watching our bodies change as we go through the motions on the mat. Let's go the other direction. Big circles with the hips. Noticing how that feels. All right. Slowly come back to center. Set the hands down, curl the toes under, lift the knees up and the hips come all the way back into your first down dog. We're going to come up on the toes and bend the knees and just settle in. You can bounce a little through the knees, press through every single finger pad, every single knuckle of the hands. Seeing if you can lengthen those sit bones back even further. And then you check in and you try again. And then eventually start to straighten the legs. See how that feels. If it doesn't feel great, go back to bent knees. Eventually you can start to lower the heels. See how that feels. And then we'll start to make our way up to the front of the mat in a forward fold. Bend the knees as much as needed. Let the head and neck dangle. Then sigh. Slowly come all the way up to standing. And meet the top of your mat. Meet this new shape with renewed aliveness through the body. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, slight bend in the knees as you power yourself up to standing. Exhale, dive. And we'll do it 1 more time so that you can adjust it even more, get more stretch, get more power, get more length, and then really watch that forward fold. Hang out here for a moment. Bend both knees. Left hand comes under the face, right hand to the back of the pelvis. Start to twist to the right as you straighten that right leg. And then back to center. Right hand under the face, left hand at the back of the pelvis. Start to twist to the left. Straighten the left leg. And back to center. And then hands to shins or thighs, look up and lengthen. And we're just going to fold here again, just to test how our fold feels different. Exhale, fold. The hands may come to the thighs, the shins, the earth blocks. Wherever you are, let that upper body hang here. Check in. How does that feel? Look up halfway, lengthen one more time. This time, exhale, fingertips to the earth. Left leg steps back behind us as we start to activate the legs here. We've gotten into the upper body and the back a lot. Now let's get into those legs. With your hands on blocks or on the floor, right up on the fingertips, find some length through the torso. And then that back leg, we're going to bend it to almost the earth and then straighten it. So at first you might see the hips coming up and down. And then eventually see if you can keep the hips exactly where they are and just use that leg. We're going to do 4 more after this. Bending and extending. Bending, extending. 2 more. Nice. After this last one, either with the knee off the floor or the knee on the floor, we're going to pick those hands up, press ourselves up to a high lunge, and hold here for a moment. Notice how that feels, especially through the front of that left hip. Beautiful. Power up that back leg a little more and then see how it feels. Draw that right hip back a little bit, get taller. And then release the hands down. Step back to your plank pose. That might be on hands and feet, on knees and elbows, or anything in between. We press the floor away with everything that's in contact with it. And we draw it all into the midline and then soften the heart, soften the face. Thighs are strong. Lower abdomen is drawing up. Ribs are drawing towards the pelvis. In any variation. We settle and then we recheck. Drop the knees down. 4 times shoulder flow. Exhale, hips back to the heels. Inhale, draw yourself forward and up. Press up to hands and knees. Exhale, hips back, stretch through those armpits. Inhale, nestle the arms into the shoulder sockets as you draw your nose along your mat, hips high. 2 more. And then after this one, we'll make our way down towards our mat, onto our abdomen. Bring the elbows under the shoulders. Arms are parallel. Maybe you walk them a little further forward. Especially at this stage of the practice, we're trying to slowly work some flexibility and mobility into our bodies. So meet your body where it's at. Come into this Sphinx pose or modified Sphinx. Look down towards the ground. Let everything hang here. Release through the lower back, the thighs, the buttocks, the tops of the feet. And then on the next inhale, start to draw your heart forward by pulling your elbows towards you. So use that strength from the arms, drawing the shoulders on the back to elongate your torso, to find some length. Keep widening the collarbones, bringing the shoulders away from the ears. And then come all the way down, hands under the shoulders, and come back to your recovery pose, whether that is downward dog, child's, or puppy. You can adjust and readjust and then settle. Long enough to feel the pose, to sink into that shape. And then left foot comes forward. Right leg stays back. Come onto your blocks or your fingertips. Find that runner's lunge position. Bending that back knee and then straightening. And we continue that. First, hips sinking up and down with it, and eventually those hips stay stable as that back knee bends and straightens. 4 more times. Beautiful. And now with that back knee on the earth or off, we'll press ourselves up and feel that stretch through the front of the right side. Can strengthen the back leg. Sink a little, see what that feels like. Draw the left hip back, readjust, settle. And eventually we come to a place of holding, observing. You may be able to sink a little deeper and then release the fingertips to the earth. Step forward and fold. Release here and then slowly bend the knees slightly and roll all the way up to standing. This time meeting Tadasana Mountain Pose for the second time and noticing if anything's changed. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive forward. Look up halfway, lengthen, and fingertips to the earth. Right leg steps back behind you. Right knee comes down to the earth. And we'll straighten that left leg into Ardha Hanumanasana. So half splits. Coming onto blocks or fingertips, we draw that left leg in towards the pelvis, almost like we're trying to drag the heel along the mat towards us. We feel that intensity there through the entire back of that left leg and the left hip, even the left low back. And we hold. We can experiment, see if we can go a little bit deeper over that left leg. And then come all the way up and walk yourself to face the long edge of the mat. Bring the left foot down to the earth. Toes pointing to the long edge, and that right leg swings behind you. So you come up into a gate pose here. We'll reach down that left leg, and then right hand can stay on the hip, behind the back of the head, or reaching up and over. Notice, pause, and then adjust, maybe opening the chest a little bit more. Come all the way up. Right hand comes down to the earth, and we're going to shift and pick up that left leg off the floor. This might be where you stay, strengthening, powering up that leg, powering up that side body, lengthening through both sides. Maybe you want to go a little further and bend that back knee. Maybe that back foot makes its way towards the hand as you reach back with the left arm. Finding a nice stretch through the front body, through the thigh, the hip flexor, the shoulder. And then we release that. Come all the way back up, spin to the front of the mat again, and step back into your plank pose. Holding plank here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop the knees, 4 shoulder flows. Get some mobility again, 4 times. Notice if there's any difference from the first round. And then all the way down onto the abdomen. Sphinx pose again, elbows under the shoulders. This time we'll put a little more fire into it. As we inhale, drawing those elbows towards us, exposing the heart center. If it's available to you, you could always come into seal as well, turning the hands out, straightening the arms. As long as that doesn't mean caving in through the chest, as long as that can maintain a wide collarbone and lots of space between ears and shoulders. Keep drawing the heart forward and the arms into the shoulder sockets. And then all the way down. Recovery pose, down dog, or another variation. Right foot will step forward, and then left knee to the earth. If you need to pad it, go for it with a cushion or a folded mat. Shift those hips back, straighten the front leg into Ardha Hanuman. And then draw that heel towards you. So you feel that muscle energy sucking the leg back into the pelvis. And it will intensify that stretch quite a bit. You breathe in there. Notice where you feel the shape. Breathe into the back line of that leg, of the hip, of the low back. And find some length through the torso. Just hold here. Nothing is completely static. Even though when we're holding these poses, looks like they might be, there's so much adjustment and readjustment going on. And then we settle for long enough to really sink in. Now we turn towards the long edge of the mat. Right foot turns down, right toes towards the long edge. Come all the way up into gate pose on this side. Walk the right hand down the right leg. Left hand can stay on the waist, can come behind the back of the head, or it can reach up and over. And we pause. We check in. Feel the general shape of the pose. And then perhaps start to open up. And pause again. Spinning the armpit up to the sky. Inhale, come all the way up. That left hand comes down towards the earth as we shift off of that right leg and hold it here. This may be exactly where you stay, finding the strength through that outer right hip, the glutes, all the way down the leg to keep that leg buoyant. Maybe we bend that right knee. Maybe right foot can be found by the right hand. And we breathe into the right side body. And slowly release, spin towards the front of the mat again, and pick up the back knee, step forward, forward fold. This time, parallel the feet, bend the knees nice and deep, and come on up into a chair pose. Hands at the heart, sitting back into the heels, drawing the ribs down. I'm really imagining those 2 points of the sit bones drawing down and away. Feel yourself folding at your hip creases as you get a little deeper. Feel those legs waking up, alive. Maybe the arms come out front. Maybe they start to reach up to the sky. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way up. Release the arms down to Tadasana. We're going to come into some balancing here. So have a wall nearby if you think you might need it. To begin with, just a tree pose, bringing the feet about hip width apart. Shift onto that left foot and pick up the right heel. Take a moment there. Maybe that right heel can come up, those right toes can come off the ground, and we can turn the knee out to the side, bringing the foot to the inner shin, or maybe helping it all the way up into the inner thigh. Hands can stay at the hips, come to the sides, come to the heart center. And we notice how much shifting and reshifting is happening here. And then we find a place to hang. Then perhaps we change and reach the arms up. And we hang. And then once we get comfortable, maybe we switch again. Arms out to the side, palms up, opening that heart. And then release the hands, bring the knee forward, release that leg, and reset. Notice how much action was going on in that left leg. Let's pick that left heel up off the ground, turn that left knee out, pause. Feel the right leg fire up, wake up. Maybe it comes to the inner shin. Maybe all the way up to the inner thigh. Hands beside you, hands on hips, hands at the heart. We activate the right glute. Press down through all four corners of that right foot. We lift up even more. Maybe the arms come up. We adjust through the ribs. We lower the left hip a little. We find a place, and then maybe we change again, arms out to the side, opening that heart up. And then slowly release the arms, slowly release the leg, and shake it out. Beautiful. Nice. Let's take a big step out to the side, widening the legs. Turn the right toes towards the short edge of the mat. Bend through the knees and come into warrior two legs. Power up that back leg. Bend through the front knee so that that front knee tracks right in the middle of the toes. That right buttock is scooping under, opening that right knee up to the right. Arms reach out, warrior two, gaze to the front hand. We settle, we strengthen up, we readjust, and we settle again. So many micro adjustments going on at every moment. Front elbow to the front thigh, open up to the side. Maybe reach up with that left arm, maybe over the ear. Side angle pose. And then come all the way up. You can do whatever you need to between sides. And then turn the left toes to the short edge of the mat. Bend that left knee. Come into warrior two on this side. Bend that knee to almost 90 degrees. Scoop that left hip under. Press that left knee out to the side. Bend a little more. Power up through the back leg. Arms out like wings. Gaze to the front. We feel the differences on this side. Is it easier to access that back leg or harder? Can we bend? Can we sink deeper? We bring the front elbow to the front thigh, either right arm up to the sky or up and over the ear, forming side angle Konasana. And then all the way up and release. Shimmy those legs back in towards each other. One more balancing pose here. Narrowing the feet, paralleling the feet again. We come up onto the right toes. Keep a wall or a chair nearby just in case. And then this time, instead of bringing the foot to the inner shin or inner thigh, we're going to cross it over top of that left thigh. So if you'd rather do tree pose again, totally cool. Otherwise, we're making a number 4 here. Hands can come to the heart. Really activate that right foot. It will help here. Sink back into the hips. Bend that left knee. You might be able to come a little deeper. You might even be able to use that right leg as a shelf. And then slowly come out of that. Mine wasn't so slow. And return to center. Pick up the left foot. Cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Forming a number 4. Bend through that right knee to make a little shelf for it. Hands at the heart. Activate that left foot. Maybe we sink a little deeper, bending the right knee, sinking back through the hips. Maybe a little deeper still. Maybe you can use that left shin as a shelf for the arms. And then we come all the way back up, release, shake it out. Beautiful. We're going to try one more variation of that. If you have blocks or a prop, sometimes that might help bringing that in front as we're going to try to fold forward here this time. So pick up that right foot, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, bring a little bend into that left knee, hands to the heart, number 4. You might stay here. You might try to bend forward. Slowly making your way deeper. If you can bend forward far enough, maybe fingertips come to your prop or the earth. And then you can release the head and the neck, and then you can start to straighten that left leg as you fold over your number 4. Bend the left knee again, come all the way up, release and reset. Last leg, pick up that left heel. Bend that right knee slightly, cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Hands at the heart. And sink back. Maybe you can come a little further still. And then if it's available, fingertips come down to your prop or the earth. Release the head and the neck. Start to straighten that right leg as you fold over your number 4 on this side. And then slowly unwind yourself. Release that side. Beautiful. Come back to the front of the mat. Stand tall in mountain pose. Sense the changes in the body. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway, lengthen, and then we'll come into a deeper fold by bending the knees, maybe taking the back of the thighs, hugging them in, maybe taking the toes in the peace fingers, and then slowly with every out breath, trying to lift those sit bones further up towards the sky. Release the toes. Look up halfway, lengthen, and set the hands down to the earth. Step back. Come into a child's pose. Knees apart, toes get together. Letting yourself rest. Head on something, either all the way on the mat, on props, or on your hands or arms. Slowly come all the way up to seated. Bring those legs out in front of you. We're going to open them up into a V sit. And make sure that you find the angle that suits your body. So you'll know that it might be too wide if you're starting to really sink away from sitting on the sit bones. Just narrow those legs a little. You might need a cushion or a folded blanket under those sit bones. You might need to just prop yourself up for a moment, lean forward, and settle yourself back down so that you feel like those sit bones are plugging into the earth and your pelvis is neutral, your spine is tall. So this might be where you stay, especially for the first few breaths, as you tell those thighs to soften down, as you release the hold that you have. And then next, if you can, you could start to fold forward. Maybe those arms come out in front as you walk yourself further forward. And then release the head and the neck if you're folding. Notice that constant conversation in the body. We notice that something is holding on, we release, we settle in, and then we check in again. It may feel frustrating as we work through our practices, as we really hone in on all of the things that aren't moving, are restricted, etc. That just like with our minds, with life, if we can pan out and see all that has changed, we can pan out and see everything we are privileged to be able to do. This becomes a practice of growth and appreciation. Slowly come back up. We'll bring that left heel in towards us. Trace a line down the right leg. Reach up and over with the left arm. Get a nice side stretch here. And then maybe we open up even more, spinning that armpit up to the sky. Releasing a little through the tension between the neck and shoulder. And all the way back up again. Reach out through the left leg, right heel comes in. Come down that left leg with the left arm. Open up to the side and reach up and over with the right arm. And all the way back up. And slowly start to make your way down to your back. Once you get there, let the feet come mat width apart, knees fall in towards each other, and let the pelvis settle. Walk the feet into hip distance apart. Walk those heels in towards the sit bones. Knees pointed straight up, elbows coming close to the body, robot arms, fingertips up to the sky. Press into the feet, the arms, and the back of the head as you lift the hips up and activate that back body. Imagine strings pulling those knees forward and up. Lengthen through that front body. Lift a little higher, press into the backs of the shoulders, and then come all the way down. Take a moment here, settle. We'll do one more bridge pose. Elbows come in, fingertips up to the sky. Press the backs of the arms and shoulders, head and toes into the earth as you inhale, lift the hips up. Hold there. Or perhaps this time the arms come straight along the floor as you walk the shoulders even further under you. Maybe the hands can interlace underneath the buttocks as they press down towards the floor and you lift those hips up higher. And then slowly release the hips down. Resettle here, knees in, feet apart. If there's anything else that's aching to move through your body, perhaps it's a twist, perhaps it's a hug, a happy baby, or all of the above. You can let that move through your body. But here's your chance to really listen. And then once you have done the moves that need to be done for you, you can slowly start to make your way into final relaxation. Final relaxation, maybe in Shavasana on your back. It might be on your side or on your front, or the legs draped over a couch or bed, or up the wall. Whatever you choose, settle into your final place. Coming back to the breath. And notice the activity doesn't cease completely. But perhaps it flows more easily. Perhaps those moments of settling in, of being present, have extended. every part of us is always working towards not only keeping a balance, that optimal oxygen level, pH level, optimum temperature, but also towards growth. We may not be physically growing anymore, but the mental and spiritual growth is infinite. The growth within our own practices is infinite. And sometimes it just takes stepping back and watching that, appreciating it, to really fully see it. So as you lay here, start to pan out, seeing your amazing body. As it breathes, as it pumps blood, as it moves within its own range of motion. And focus on that forest of healthy green. We keep reconnecting to ourselves through yoga and meditation and other practices. To check in again, to ease the flow, and to step back and fully appreciate our bodies and selves as they should be. Stay here for as long as you can, as long as you want. Make sure to thank yourself fully and completely for taking the time on your mat today to explore. I thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful day. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all creatures everywhere be happy and free.